All right. Oops. God darn it. The matrix. Why isn't it? Okay, I'll just have to let it run in the background. All right. So on Blackboard, you have your individual project syllabus. Right? There's not going to be a formal assignment this week, but I want you to start. This is like I said, where the class takes on project driven. So what you'll end up seeing is that there are deliverables for this project. Okay. So between this and the team project is what we're going to be doing over the next rest of the semester. All right. So the first thing is you're going to create an individual project folder, and you're going to submit that into Blackboard. Okay. So in Blackboard, if you go to again courses, and you go to the sidebar, and you go to project submission, and here's the individual project submission. If you click on that, and you click on write submission, this is where you would go ahead and put the link to your shared folder from your drive, for your Google Drive. So you'd create a folder, you'd share it just like you've done with the documents, allow me access, or anyone with access. You don't have to send it to me if you don't want, but you can also send it to me, and I'll just, then I'll have access to it. But you can also just do like anyone with comment in it, on the web, right? Just like we've been doing. And then you're going to populate that with your content. So you'll move your resume after I look at your cover letter, the stuff that you've created, into that folder. Now remember, once you could submit that folder right now if you wanted in Blackboard, and you'd just be adding to the folder, right? And they'd be done because the content would be in the cloud and be managed. So you're going to create that folder, and you're going to supply these deliverables. So the first part is your resume, your cover letter, the stuff that you're producing, a link to. Some people put all their assignments in it. Some people, but I really want the content that you've created, and I've seen the stuff. And then you're going to create a report, okay? So there's a professional persona strategy here that gives you an idea of what I'm kind of looking for in text. So you'll want to read through that, okay? And then, most importantly, you're going to want to write a report. And this report is about your journey of your creation of your professional persona. So how you went about this semester, what worked, what you liked, what you didn't like, how you went about it. So what you did, where you were, what you're doing, and what's your plan going forward. Remember I asked you the first day of class, what's your 3-year goals, 5-year goals, 10-year goals? That's what you're doing. So I've given you actual reports that other students have written. So the first one is the gold standard, the absolute stunning gold standard. Carol is on our advisory committee, and she wrote a 30-page report. I don't expect 30 pages from you, okay? I don't expect, but what you'll notice is there's a lot of screenshots in here, so it's not 30 pages of text, but it still is what I want to see, okay? It goes through and talks about her journey in this class, how she went about creating all this. And again, some of this will be filled in over the next couple of weeks as we go through more content. She uses, analytics. We haven't really even talked about that. I've kind of leaned away from that over the period of time because it's just not as important. But again, some people really get into it, like how many people are reading their blog posts and things like that. She gives a video. She just does a bang up job. So if you're looking for like the ultimate gold standard, this is a good template and example of that. But like I said, I do not expect people's reports to be 30 pages, okay? There's also example B, which I think is probably going to be more reasonable to what you're going to end up doing. So this is Alex. This is the guy that got the Cisco job in Austin in the Internet of Things as a tester. So he went on, did his 4-year degree. But this is exactly what I'm kind of looking for. So this report is 9 pages. Now, again, he's got pictures and things and all this stuff. I probably would have, I think I preferred double space, but then it would be even really long. But you'll see that he goes through here and talks about his journey. Okay. So this is the best way to do this is look these over, and this is what I'm looking for. Mimic them. He also then has, links here so that I can quickly go and look at his Twitter, right? I can go look at Twitter. He's got his LinkedIn profile. Must change the thing. He's got stuff here at Tumblr. You could list your blog here, whatever. But that's another good example. And then I give you another example, which is Michael. And Michael's Phelan. He's I don't know if you've any of him in his class. Older gentleman. Older, I shouldn't say that, but old punk rocker like me. But again, this is about 7 pages, but he goes through and talks about it. Okay. So I give you 3 good examples that you can mimic. Now, the important part is you have to be, you have to have been doing the things that I've been asking you to do, which is to tweet, use Twitter. Maybe you're going to be encouraged now to write outside blog posts when you see the rest of the syllabus. You're going to be encouraged to obviously get your LinkedIn profile, continuing updating, engaging, all this kind of stuff. All of that stuff that you can see in these reports, it's about your journey. There are a couple of caveats, okay, that I hate. So you're gonna write this report, and then all of you are going to do a presentation, and you're going to give the presentation in class. Online students create the presentation, but they don't give the presentation. I'm not saying that to you guys. I'm saying it for the benefit of when this is viewed by the online students. But you're also going to create a presentation, which is your last assignment too. Okay. So what I want to do when I grade you, and if you look at how much this is worth, it's worth 300 points. So if you look back at the syllabus, this individual project is worth 300 points for the class. So it's important. Plus, in combination with your assignments, it makes up way over the half of your grade. So if you've been lacking, or you haven't been working like you should, or you haven't been engaged, or you haven't been developing your professional persona, you have the remaining weeks to start doing that. Hopefully you have, and then it's just continuing your habits for the rest of the class, okay? One thing, though, is what I want to be able to do, especially with you guys, with the in-person people, is I want to be able to read your report, listen to your presentation, and give you the 300 points, okay? That's what I want to do. I want to do that. Don't give me a reason not to want to do that, okay? But give me the reason to do it. And again, a grade in this class to me is somewhat silly, because I don't, because there's not really a right or wrong in this class. Remember, the first day of class, I just asked you to open your mind and try things and do things. And again, it's 10 minutes a day. You don't have very much homework in this class. I mean, 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, learn something new, engage with somebody, send me something, tweet me something that I might be interested in. Just something you're interested in and passionate about. When you're on the bus, when you're waiting in line, whatever you're doing, get your phone out, and just, play Fortnite 15 minutes less a day, or Madden, or whatever you're playing, 15 minutes less, or, skip one episode of your binge for the night, or something like that. Whatever. You can do this at breakfast, in the morning, in the bus, lunch, before you go to bed. I'm not advocating you take your phone to bed, but it's really not that bad of a thing. I do. But I know they advise against it, but that's what you want to do, okay? And if you keep scrolling down, you'll start seeing the grading rubrics. So there's a grading rubric here, and for the most students, what they get tripped up on and what they start seeing then is that I actually provide numbers that you're shooting for, right? And I hate doing this, but it's like when I don't put a page limit on the report, right? I don't say it has to be 5. I want a report that is sufficient to explain it. If you can do that in 3 pages and it can be very good, I have no problem with that. Most people can't, though. Most people are going to be writing, the report's going to be with screenshots and all that kind of thing, between 7 and 10 pages, okay, to do it decently. When we get to presentation, we'll talk about that. Your presentation's going to be like 10 minutes long, 5 to 10 minutes long. So we'll talk about that. But my point here is I don't want to look for a reason not to give it to you. Am I going to go and count all of these? that you actually did 24 retweets and 18 likes and all. I'm not going to do that. It would take me forever. I am following everybody on Twitter. I don't see very much Twitter activity on my IT 107 feed. So I kind of already know that people aren't doing it. And this is my encouragement to you. And you got to force yourself to do it. You got to integrate it. You got to create a habit of some sort. And I'm telling you, it'll pay off. It will pay off. But the one thing I can't stand, the one thing that will always say, so Twitter, I've asked you to follow 100 accounts, right? I've said that. By now, if you're not following 100 accounts, you better do that this week. But inevitably, I will get students in my class, and I've said this, 100 times already, it seems like. I will get students in this class who come up here, give their presentation, give their report, and I look on their Twitter account, and they're following 12 people. And then they have the gall to get up here and say, oh, I didn't like Twitter. It didn't work. I don't like it. Well, no, of course, right? If you get up here, though, on the other hand, and you're following under 100 accounts, and you've done all the stuff that I asked you, and you say, yeah, Twitter's just not my thing. I'd rather be doing this, or I'd rather be doing that. And you say that, and you provide an argument for or against, do you think I have a problem with that? No. It's just like, again, if you want to wear a hat in your picture, if you want to wear a hoodie, if you want to wear sunglasses, I'm not gonna downgrade you, but I'm just going to explain to you that it's probably not the best choice. But if you have a valid reason, what am I going to do? It's not my life. It's not me. I'm just trying to provide you a framework and a roadmap that I know works, that I've seen work wonders for people in your position. So I'm not going to count, but I want you to activate, engage. Your next assignments are blog posts. You're going to be sharing them on the Google Plus community. What I want you to do then is part of that is the activity, reading somebody else's post and commenting on it, right? It'll take you like 10 minutes of your time. Engage, talk to each other, those kind of things. So when you look at this rubric and the metrics on here, again, I'm not going to be counting. And I really even don't like doing it. I want it to be organic. But with most students, the majority of students, unless you have a carrot and a stick, nothing gets done. Okay? And like I said, this part of this class is you investing in yourself 10 or 15 minutes a day so that you come out the other side, so you glide right into the career, you glide right into a great job, and 3 years, 5 years from now, you're senior something at this big company, you're living the life, you got a brand new car, you got whatever things that drive you, you have, and you got good health insurance, you got this, you got that, whatever it may be that's driving you, you will have it. All right. And you might just be, the other thing is you just might be happy in a career that you like, which is also the golden ticket, right? Again, I tell people this. I don't know if I've told you guys, I probably have, I don't know. But there's, two things in life that you'll end up needing and wanting is once you have the job and have the career, you want to buy a good mattress because that's where you're spending all the rest of your time in your lifetime is on a mattress. So every time I tell students, once you can afford to buy a good mattress and buy a good mattress every 10 years, you've made it because now you're catering to the rest of your life. That you're spending all the majority of your time is spent at work or in bed. So once you have the job, then you have a good mattress, you're set. And especially if you like what you're doing. Okay. So again, my suggestion always would be to this week, there's no formal assignment. Read, look at these, get these in your brain about how you're going to do it. And then, you're not probably starting the report yet, but you then want to start upping your activity and start doing the things that I've been asking you to do on a daily basis. Engaging on LinkedIn, updating LinkedIn. It's your resume. All these things are continual, right? They're processes. They're not like, oh, I'm done. I don't have to do this anymore. That's it. My resume is done. No. You're going to be taking classes next semester. I mean, if you're graduating, fine, but then you should have the tip-top resume, and you should be doing this full force so that people start recruiting you and contacting you. Okay? So I plead I plead. And I'm not asking the world. I'm asking for just a little bit of investment and change and getting to yourself to a point. And I know I've become so much more in tune over the last couple of years about all the obstacles students face, financial, food, housing, all of these things. I'm totally aware of that. And I know that. I understand that. But the only way you're going to get over that, if you have those kinds of insecurities, is to do this, and sacrifice and do it. And everybody that sits in front of me in my classes at MATC, everybody who's come to my classes is capable. It's, do you want it? Do you want it? Are you willing to fight for it? Are you willing to invest in it? Are you willing to struggle for it? That is the key. Grit and determination. And that I tweeted stuff about that too. Those go a long way in these job markets. Okay. So that's all I have. Are there any questions? Yes.
I know at the beginning, I guess, your theory that it's going to be a recession.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the numbers, the growth numbers, and there's a economic number, but the relationship, like last Friday, went inverse. Now, I mean, nothing's a sure thing, but we've had this sustained economic growth for so long that if you just look at any cycle, we're going to enter a recession. I mean, I don't know how bad that recession is going to be. I don't think it's not going to be the 2008 recession. Hopefully not. Hopefully there's not this bubble existing out there. But what I'm saying is I think growth is going to slow, So it's either, like I said, if you're a first or second semester student and you got yourself mapped out for the next 3 years or whatever to get your degree, it's probably a good time to be in school, right? Because if the job market contracts, that's a good time. But like I said, the IT job market never gets fully affected. Good people will always be able to find jobs in the technology sector. I mean, because even sometimes when the market contracts, what companies do then is they look for even more efficient ways of doing things. And guess what that's driven by? Tech, right? It's driven by technology, right? So, I mean, again, I don't think anybody sitting here should be afraid of automation. You guys are going to be the ones who are programming the robots, networking the robots, all of that. So, like, those are good things, I think. And that's where you want to be, right? So you want to position yourself. So, and what we heard from the advisory committee, that right now the job market is still very strong in Milwaukee. And again, if you're willing to expand your horizons even more, like move, go elsewhere, well, that's even better, right? But Milwaukee, the other interesting thing they said was funny was that Milwaukee is being viewed more broadly as a tech hub. That because of the cost of living and because, I mean, the city has a lot of problems, right? Segregation, there's a huge wealth of problems that Milwaukee brings to the table. But there are some advantages, right? Cost of living, I've been talking for like startups and tech and all that kind of stuff. If Milwaukee had a better infrastructure, like if they had better public transit, Milwaukee could be really on the map. If they had a better broadband infrastructure, all that kind of stuff. Like I've heard about like horrible things about getting good broadband, even in like the 3rd Ward and Walker's Point. Like it's hard to get even good broadband there.
What do you think about the Democratic officials?
Well, I said that in the class on Tuesday. I said the other big thing is that, I mean, there haven't been, when you think about it, there hasn't been anything in Milwaukee national for a very, very long time. I mean, and really when you refer to, the only thing you can really think of is sporting events, right? So, I mean, the Brewers, Packers, the Super Bowl doesn't matter because it's always played elsewhere. But maybe, to me, the last big national thing was when the Brewers in 83 or 2, when they went to the World Series. I mean, because it really excels when you go to the World Series. That's when you get more. But even that's a small segment. This DNC convention's going to bring, like, we're going to be the focus. Like, it's going to be huge. I mean, it's going to put Milwaukee squarely on the map. Hopefully we get our crap together construction-wise and all this. But, yeah, it's going to be a big – I think if Milwaukee plays it right, and if they can – and especially if they use it for a reason to address some of our systemic problems, and bring those to light, right? If it could be used in that way, I think it could be huge for Milwaukee. I think it really could be. And obviously for the economy here too, right? I mean, it's going to be billions of dollars that's going to be brought to Milwaukee and Wisconsin. So yeah, I mean, I think it's something to be, regardless of your political affiliation, it's good for the city. I mean, it's good for the Milwaukee. So it should not be viewed if you care about the city and whatever. And like I said, I really hope they use it to address some of the systemic problems. You know, because we are the most segregated city in the country. We have issues that need to be addressed, but you know, we'll see. We'll see.
I've seen that way, though.
Well, it kind of depends on your perspective. Yeah, I mean, well, there are pockets that aren't, but I mean, you know, it is the most segregated city like if you go to different cities, they're much more integrated. I mean, there's yeah, I mean, if you go, I mean, especially if you get out of the Midwest, like if you go to other, you know, urban areas, even in the South, they're not as, I mean, like Houston, for example, I've been to Houston, or San Antonio, those are not very segregated cities. I mean, you still have pockets of people, but they're just not, a lot of white flight happened in Milwaukee. I mean, it just did, you know, it's like, even when I was a kid, when I grew up on 62nd and Meineke, there was more integration than there is now. Right. I mean, like Sherman Park and all that, that was an integrated neighborhood, you know, from like, say 50, like Sherman to 60th, you know, in that whole pocket there. And it's changed, you know, and it's one of our, it's one of the things that Milwaukee should be really ashamed of, and they should be working to fix, you know, and hopefully, like I said, maybe this DNC will bring the catalyst to address some of those issues, you know, but it's a good question. Thanks for bringing it up, because yeah, it's you know, I think it can really help. And it was interesting when the advisory committee said that like now all of a sudden Milwaukee could. And like I said, if we had infrastructure, if we had good public, if we had a light rail system, right? A really true light rail system. I know the HOP might eventually be that, but if you go to like Salt Lake City, you can get around the whole city by rail. You can get from the airport, you can get downtown, you can go to the sporting arenas, you can go all this just by light rail. And you just buy a pass, you just hop on, you don't have to pay anything. It automatically gets a pass for the week. And it makes like every time I commute down here from Mequon, it's horrible. It's like horrible. It's horrible. It's a horrible waste of time. And if I could just hop on a train at sea and come down here, I'd do it in a heartbeat. You know, I do it in a heartbeat. I hate drive. That's why I'm pro autonomous cars. So, all right. Anything else? What? What were you going to say?
What do the content you post on Twitter?
Whatever you find interesting and relevant to your profession.